Hi there. Welcome back to Richard's Toy Room. It's time for another episode of Richard's Record Roundup. I thought today, it's going to be all LPs this time. And I'm going to do them in chronological order. So, we're going to range from the 50s through the 80s. So what we have to start out with is this 1954 album by Neil Hefti. And if the name sounds familiar to you, it's because he was responsible for the classic 1966 Batman TV show theme. This is, it says it's singing instrumentals, but it's not all instrumental music. It does have a, what would you call it, chorus or singers back. It's almost kind of like background singers, but without the actual lyrics in some of the songs. This may be a reissue, but it's hard for me to tell sometimes when I'm looking these things up because there's so many different versions sometimes. But this one just had bad information. Here's the reverse. This could be a 1958 reissue of this, but I couldn't tell from the information that was available to me. I'm going to assume it's a first pressing. Not that it matters, it's not really worth that much. Next up, you may have heard of this gal, Patti Page. This is her Golden Hits. This was released in 1960. Best I can tell, this is a first pressing. It's also in stereo. There are a lot of hits on this. One of the things I enjoy, I have another, I think Mercury did this on, they must have had a sort of a series, and they have this here platter of 45s, kind of looks like the old RCA, the very first RCA player. See with the red RCA adapter stack, center spindle there. This has, I mean, you probably know almost every song on here, or at least half of them. I mean, Tennessee Waltz, Cross Over the Bridge, Mockingbird Hill, Much As That Doggy in the Window, Allegheny Moon. It's a really good album. And here's the reverse side. You can always pause and stare at that if you're so inclined to do. So, next one up here. This is a compilation. It's called Memory Lane. It's got 14 hits. They're mostly, well, I think they're all from the 50s, late 50s, mid to late 50s. This was issued in 1962. It was only issued one time on this End label, and two other times it was reissued in the 70s on different labels. So this is a first pressing. This is pretty awesome. Alan Freed, you may remember, was famous for coined the term rock and roll, if I'm not mistaken. And he narrates in between the songs and tells some anecdotes on each song. And here is the reverse side. Now this one here, I wasn't going to keep this. It's just so silly and made me chuckle that I just had to keep it. It's from 1963. It is in mono, not stereo. I believe that was the only way it was issued. I'm not 100% sure on that. It's really bizarre. It's almost like listening to the soundtrack without watching the film for one of those old school films, if you're like my age that you remember or older, that they play during school where they would tell you like, you know, the facts of life and, you know, everything under the sun. But it's just, it was so weird that I just had to keep it. And you may know Art Linkletter. He was pretty famous back in his day. He's the one that does the narration for the record. Now this one here, I got this in a, I believe I got it from the original owner. I bought a box full of records. I'd never heard of this group. It's called Country Joe and the Fish. This, I think it's their second album, and it was released This one was released in 1967. Now they were active from 65 through summer of 1970, and there was probably like over 50 different issues of this album. If you go onto the site Discogs. Now that doesn't mean it was pressed 57 times. That just means there's 57 different variations, including reissues and you know, tapes and 8-tracks and, you know, reel to reel, whatever. You know, it doesn't differentiate when it lists them. But I had no idea what to expect from this. I was thinking that it was going to be maybe, oh, I don't know, rock and roll or something, and it sort of is. It's like a folk rock psychedelic kind of combination. It reminded me of the Doors in a way, some of the songs anyway, not all of them. But I actually really liked it, and from what I saw on Discogs, I'm not even sure if I looked up the right version because, like I said, there were so many, it's so hard to tell. They're so specific on some things. This could be worth up to $30. So I saw one that was listed for $60, but it wasn't the one I have here. But, you know, I mean, there's so many little things that could affect that price that, I mean, it could be just, it was in a certain pressing plant, or, you know, it had different font on the jacket. Who knows? It's stupid things sometimes that you wouldn't think would make any difference in the price. This one here, another one, I just got it in a lot of records that I bought, box full of records. This is from 1968, and I think, I'm not 100% sure again, from if you were listening to what I said in the last few records, this has so many different pressings and so many different variants that I can't be quite sure if this is a first pressing or not. But I think it is the first release, if that makes sense. What happened was, or I mean, I shouldn't say first release, I mean, it was issued the same time as the first release. The first release actually had Bach sitting down, and they recalled that because he looked like he was constipated. And they reissued this one with him standing, which is the more common and the more, all the reissues, most of the reissues have this cover. This is like electronic classical music, and almost like a Moog, well, it is on a Moog synthesizer. But it's actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. I mean, this cover is not in the best condition. You can see it's got a lot of wear on it, but the record sounded really nice, so I decided to keep it. Now this one's interesting. Now I've never seen this album before. This is Elton John. This is on the Yellow label, and there's two hits on this that you'll know. It's Tiny Dancer and Leave On. The rest of the songs I didn't know. I mean, it's unmistakably Elton John. But this one, as in many things, has a bunch of variants. One of which, this is a gatefold cover, which also includes this booklet. It's about 11 pages. Actually, it'd be 12, but you can't see the back because it's glued to the cover. It basically just goes through each song. Has like the lyrics and stuff like that. Some pictures. And yeah, like I said, you can't see the back because it's adhered to the side of the album. And here's the reverse. So I'm not sure if I said this is from 1971. Really early Elton John. Now this one is the first of two Beach Boys albums that I have to show you today. They're both reissues. This is a 1972 reissue. This was originally issued in mono, but this is electronically enhanced stereo. I'm sorry I forgot to look up what year the first, I think it was probably about 63 or so that the first issue came out. Back, nothing special about it. It does actually even say on the cover that it's a reissue. And this one, as you can see, it's got the orange capital label from the 70s, which if it was an original one, it would probably be the black with the rainbow, I would think, or either that, or I'm not sure if they used the swirl on albums or not, but Beatles ones had like the black label with the rainbow around, which is probably what that was originally released on. Next up is this 1973 release. Trying to get the glare off that for you. Gordon Lightfoot. It's got two hits on it that you probably know. Carefree Highway and the title song, Sundown. Interesting, this has a sticker on it. Originally was priced at $4.96. It still has the shrink wrap, even though it's been opened. If you like Gordon Lightfoot, you'll love the album. Two really great songs on it, that's for sure. I mean, it's actually, the whole album's pretty good. But the two hits are phenomenal. Here's the other Beach Boys one. The person I got these off of, a number of the albums looked like they must have been in a box that got wet, because there was, a lot of them had a little bit of, I don't know if you can see that, a little bit of moisture damage along the bottom, or some of them worse than others. This one was originally issued in 1963. This, as far as I can tell, reissue is from 1976. And pretty much there's only one hit on this, and that is Surfin' USA. I mean, it's unmistakably Beach Boys, but you'd have to really love the Beach Boys to want to listen to the whole album, because, like I said, the only hit on it is Surfin' USA. And another way you could have told, even without opening it up, that this was a reissue is it's stamped right onto the jacket. It says Gold Record Award right there. And this is also on the Capitol 70s. This one's yellow, but it's still from the roughly the same time period, 70s. It was okay. Here's an interesting one. One Hit Wonder. 1976. You probably don't recognize her at all, but I'm sure you'll know the song if you heard it. Her one and only hit is We're Gonna Make It. Or I'm sorry, not We're Gonna Make It. Making Our Dreams Come True. And this was really her only album. She had one other album that was released years later in 1982. There were some other singles released off this album, but none of them were hits. And the Mega Smash, Making Our Dreams Come True, it's the last song on side 2, so how sad that you had to listen to the whole album just to get the theme song from Laverne and Shirley. It's the very last song on the album, so you were better off going and buying the 45. Which is actually not bad. It's just, you know, that's the only hit that she's known for, so it's not like people are searching for the record. Now this, I've always loved Olivia Newton-John, ever since I was a little boy. And this one is from 1978. I've never owned this album, believe it or not. Because I didn't really buy albums back when I was a kid. Even when I was a teenager and an early adult, I bought 45s. Sometimes I'd get K-Tel albums because they had all hits on them. Occasionally I would get a greatest hits album. I think one of the first ones I remember having was Queen's Greatest Hits, which was, I think, from about 1980. But anyway, and then after that I got into CDs, so, you know. But now I collect albums, and I've been trying to get, obviously, Olivia's albums, and this is one of her classic ones. This was, I mean, she was a superstar before this, but this kind of just pushed her. Well, Physical is the one that just made her like mega superstar, but this even if physical wouldn't come out, this was just about to do it anyway. This was just before that. This it's called Totally Hot. It has Little More Love is the big hit on it. It also has Deeper Than Night on it, and that's a good one. And there's a couple other ones on here that are pretty good. I think Totally Hot was released as a single too, if I'm not mistaken. But here's the reverse. Pretty good album. I mean, I'm a little biased because I really like Olivia Newton-John, but okay, it looks like we got 3 more. So now this one, I think I picked these up last year. I picked up most of Sean Cassidy's solo album. Well, not that he had any others. Most of Sean Cassidy's albums. I think he had 6 or 8, something like that. This is his 3rd one, and it was okay. I didn't recognize any of the songs on it. I don't think there were any huge hits from this album, surprisingly, because 78, I mean, that was right smack dab in the middle of his real stardom era right there. Here's the back. It's basically like the front, but if you're looking from behind. He's trying to get through the plastic. And it's called Under Wraps. That's the name of the album. Nothing great about it, but it was okay. Speaking of teen idol, superstar, 70s, Andy Gibb. This is Andy Gibb's greatest hits. This is from 1980. Side A is the best on this one. Side B, didn't really have too many what I would call hits. But, I mean, you know, if you like most of Andy Gibb's hits, I mean, you'll like the non-hits too, for the most part. The only one on the side 2 that was probably a semi-hit, if you want to call it, it's a remake, is Will You Love Me Tomorrow. And but side 1 is I Just Want to Be Your Everything, Love Is Thicker Than Water, Shadow Dancing, Everlasting Love, Don't Throw It All Away. I mean, that's just like bam, 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 hit, 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 hit. You know what I mean? So, so here's the reverse side. Pretty good album. And to round everything up, our last one for this video. Again, another album that I never owned, The Go-Go's. This is their debut album. Now, interestingly, the things you learn looking things up, this is the 2nd pressing. The 1st pressing, see this blue background here? That was like a peach color, or a yellowish peach color in the 1st pressing. The colors are different. And this one has, We Got the Beat and Our Lips Are Sealed. But they're such iconic, you know, new wave, whatever you're going to call it, 80s artists, that the whole album's actually pretty good. Here's the reverse. It's called Beauty and the Beat. That's the name of the album. The interior, the inner sleeve has the lyrics on the one side, and it has some pictures of the gals. Get my hand out of the way here so you can see it. Also, the label's a little different on the LP than the 1st pressing too, but I don't care that much. I mean, it's a great album and it sounded good, so I'm happy. So, there we have it. That's our Richards Record Roundup, number 6. I've got plenty more. I've been brainstorming some ideas of possibly including some sound clips when I do some future videos. With I don't know if that would make it less boring. The problem you run into there, though, is you always run the chance of getting a copyright hit when you use music and video clips and stuff. So I haven't had a problem yet, but I think if you keep it short enough, you can kind of get away with it. I definitely wouldn't play all the songs, I mean, that's for sure. But it's something that's been toying in my mind. I mean, it'd be a lot of extra work, obviously. But like I said, hope you enjoyed everything, and stay tuned for more toy repair videos, restoration videos, toy review videos, record videos, radio videos, I got a new record player. Well, not new. I got a probably about a 1947 record player that I want to restore. I've got a 1937 radio I just picked up I want to restore. All videos that'll be coming. This one I actually did most of the video on, but I had to get some tubes for it, so I have not uploaded any of it yet. It'll be probably a couple of parts when I do. So stay tuned for all that, and we'll see you later.